Guys, welcome back to another salvage auction analysis. Don't mind the two idiots that are in my office. I tried kicking them out. They just won't leave. They're doing the Demon production badges. There will be a plug later in the video for them. But this Ferrari is about to run at auction, and we can't miss it. This is one of my two dream Ferraris. There is absolutely no chance that I am buying this one, but I want to see what a wrecked V12 Ferrari is going to sell for at salvage auction. So once I collect my pennies over the next 20 years, I might be able to actually buy and fix one. The F12, me personally, I love more than the 812. The 812 is great just because it's a newer iteration of it, but the F12 to me is like the ultimate street Ferrari. The only other Ferrari that I ever want to buy is a 355 Spider, and one of those is probably more realistic in the relatively near future, but I prefer front-engine cars. A Ferrari like this is certainly appealing to me. There are certain mid-engine cars that are fine to me. Other ones, I don't really like the layout of the car. And then rear engine is just absolutely the worst.
How much is that going to go for, roughly? What's the estimate?
100.
100? Okay, so if you help me sell 100,000 of these Demon badges on your channel, because you'll get $1 each commission, you can buy that Ferrari.
So there you heard it. Now all of a sudden I'm on board as a sales team member for the Demon badges because I want to buy a Ferrari. So if you guys want a Demon badge, the link's going to be down in the description below. Make sure that you mention you got it on the Scrap Life Dalt channel. That way I get my commission.
I'll set you up with a link. LaceyParts.com/notademon badge, whatever the link is, /ScrapLifeDalt.
You heard the man. Looking at the car, the reason that you're here, this one's down in Florida. It does have a rebuildable title. It is part of the Engine Start program. The car itself looks to be very, very nice as I'm waiting for the pictures to load here. A lot of damage though. We're gonna have to get back to this. It's about to run. I gotta get in to show you what this thing sells for, then we'll look over the car a little bit more. $70,000 starting bid. This one is on reserve. Wow, this gets no action. I'll be surprised. Okay, there you go. I was expecting this thing to probably stretch up to 100. I think that this is, for a lot of people, a dream car also, and getting it at auction, as you've seen us rebuild some of these cars on the channel, is a great way to achieve that dream at a fraction of the cost.
Or it'll take you broke. You never know.
Yeah, or it's just people that, like to operate with 2 pennies in their pocket like we do.
He's not lying.
So a few cars on this channel that we've watched at auction, the Canada bidders have been really, really active on. And in the S650 video, I talked a lot about the overseas bidders. Canada is not usually super active in a lot of the cars that we watch. So I think it's interesting that these few salvage auction analysis videos that I've done, there's been a decent amount of Canada bidders on it. And funny enough, as I'm saying that, what pops into my mind is that I don't know where the guys out at DDE, Daily Driven Exotics, I know that he's from Canada. I don't know where their account is registered. I wonder if it's possible. This would be a rebuild that I think would really be on their radar. So it wouldn't surprise me if that might be who the Canada bidder is on this car.
The police pulled me over in my salvage Ferrari F12. Oh no.
Yeah, he'd probably try and drive it without the wheel on it and then act like the victim for why he got pulled over by the California police. All right, we just crossed the $90,000 threshold, and this thing is showing no signs of slowing down, and it is a pure sale now. As I was talking, I didn't even notice when the reserve came off of this thing, but this thing is selling, which is always more exciting for these video purposes. I think it must have just come off because all of a sudden there's this just flood of new bidders. It was moving, not slow, but it wasn't moving quite like this. This thing just jumped $5,000 very, very quickly. Florida bidders on Copart are always interesting because you don't know exactly where in Florida it is. A lot of South Florida bidders could be exporters, so it could be a car that's going international, or it could be a broker bidding for somebody international. And this thing just crossed $100,000. Wait, not yet. The next bid's 100. Come on, it's got to go for 100. Uh-oh. Now I'm going to look like a liar. I thought it crossed 100. Not that 99.5 isn't close enough. There it is. All right, 100 grand for a wrecked Ferrari F12. And it's not done yet. What do you think? Does that sound reasonable to you?
No, I would not buy that.
$101,000 for a wrecked F12 Ferrari. That's just that was cool to see. I don't know how I feel about the numbers involved there. Like I said, I'm not in a position to buy one anyway, but $100,000 for a wrecked F12 sounds like a lot of money. Let's go back, look at the auction pictures, and we'll see if that really seems like it was justified. Alrighty, so the driver's side of the car, we're going to zoom in. We're going to really scrutinize this thing since we know it just sold for $100,000. It looks like there's a crack in the front bumper there right up by the badge. I want a better look at that front bumper, though, to see what the grille looks like. Over here on the driver's side, the wheel, the headlight, suspension looks to be in place. I really don't see anything overly concerning on pretty much the entire driver's side of the car at all. Moving to the rear, again, I'm not seeing anything that's jumping out at me on the driver's side of the car. So you have a good driver's side of the car. The rear bumper, it looks like there's a very small amount of damage right there behind the wheel. Excuse me. The wheel itself looks to be fine. The passenger side up to the door, it looks like there's some damage there on the bottom of the rocker and maybe also the door itself. That might be a glare, that like scrape looking thing, but there's definitely some damage right there by the hinge. And this is the one that we need to analyze the most. Okay, so you go up, you see broken windshield on this car, and then you know that you have fender damage. Again, the front bumper looked like it was cracked. On this side, it looks like it's definitely broken. All right, now this car, it didn't get totaled for parts alone. As rare as Ferrari parts are, this thing, it has to have some sort of frame damage, and I'm going to assume that the frame to fix it's going to be the same as what you've seen on like my Audi R8 rebuild, where only authorized body shops can get these frame pieces, and they charge like $500 an hour, which is probably why this thing got totaled in the first place. Most of what I'm seeing here, just the suspension damage, I have to imagine you can find these parts used on eBay. They have to be at least relatively available. The frame section, though, I'm imagining can't get it whatsoever. That lower section there might be what ultimately did it in. I don't know if this section up here at the top is supposed to be in like a U shape like that. It looks like it might be that it would follow maybe like the hood layout, but, you know, not knowing these cars too well, that's, you know, a little bit concerning. I think that you had to have bought this knowing that you were going to have potential frame damage on that passenger side. Here at the front, actually, I'm not seeing any damage. Maybe that was just like a shadow or something. The front bumper looks pretty good. That headlight is definitely damaged. Again, maybe more damage to the front bumper. So you're probably going to have to replace the front bumper. The rear looks very good. Now the interior. This is a whole nother layer here. Is going to be the interior. Beautiful yellow stitching. I don't know if I really like the yellow inserts on the seat, but that design is kind of timeless Ferrari. So I think it's pretty cool. The airbags. Now this is going to be a troublesome area. The steering wheel airbag I don't think would necessarily be a massive issue, but that passenger dash airbag just has to be awful to get a hold of the correct dashboard with the correct stitching, because this one again is the yellow contrasting stitching, which is all over the dashboard. To replace the airbag, you have to replace the entire dashboard, I imagine. So again, just from the cost standpoint, I think that's another reason why this thing totaled out. But I am going to put my stamp on that. I think that this thing has some sort of frame damage, which is why it was ultimately at salvage auction. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not repairable. It's just finding the parts you need to repair it. The beautiful V12 here, everything in the engine bay looks pretty well situated. Again, you know you're going to have to do a little bit of work on that passenger side there, but the motor itself looks to be okay. You are replacing a wheel, but the fact that it has the brake caliper and potentially the carbon ceramic brake rotor from that passenger side is a giant, giant bonus. All right, guys, I have another Ferrari here, or a kind of Ferrari, that the video has already posted on the channel. Hopefully you watch this one too, because I like this car so much, but it is about to run an auction too. So let me know down in the comments what you think about a $100,000 wrecked Ferrari F12. I think that if somebody can fix it economically and they ultimately want that car like I do at some point in my life, I think it's a good deal, but the level of damage is going to be curious. Let me know if you think you could stomach a $100,000 risk on a Ferrari F12, and keep your eyes peeled for more of these salvage auction analysis videos. Thanks for tuning in.